place. Don't rescue me. And now I'm burning in your arms, and there's fire in my heart. No, it's not a false alarm.
Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, it's not promptly 6:30, but it's promptly 6:32. So we're going to get started now. First, I want to welcome all of you on behalf of Career Development to the Etiquette Dinner. I'm so happy to see so many of you here taking advantage of this opportunity to polish your professionalism, both your dining as well as your business etiquette. We'll be touching on that as well in the end, or toward the end, rather. I want to take a moment to just say some thank yous, besides to you for being here, to some groups that are here that are representing and supporting career development. So I want to start by recognizing some groups. Delta Sigma Pi is here, represented pretty well. Where is Delta Sigma Pi? Raise your with Delta Sigma Pi. Also Delta is represented. Hello, ladies. And the freshman college sponsored some attendees as well. Excellent, thank you. And also I know this is a long one. Okay, they've changed their name. Multicultural and Student Activities Programs. Who's here representing? Thank you so much. I also want to take a moment to thank my staff, who is in the back, and Adra's still there, so wave your hands. They're tirelessly doing so much to help all of you students in whatever you're doing. And of course, in back we have Chartwells and our servers represented. I want you to all recognize them as well, and I want you to recognize them and say thank you in advance for all the help. Some of the things that we're going to be learning tonight is how to communicate with them without using so many words. So placing the napkin on the lap and how to place your silverware. This is all how we communicate with our servers and go smoothly through a meal. So thank you so much for helping us out and helping us get through this meal, well, with etiquette. So thank you. Okay, so dining etiquette is a skill and an art. You may not always choose to use the skills that you learned tonight, but when the situation arises and you need to use your top-notch table manners, believe me when I tell you that you will be relieved when you can reflect back on what you've learned tonight and answer that call with grace, all right? Tonight, we are going to, well, as it says here, we are going to eat, we're going to learn, and we're going to laugh, because quite honestly, we're here because we don't do everything right. So that's why we're here. We're here to make mistakes, ask questions, and have some fun, okay? I'm sorry that I keep doing this, but I'm all mic'd up, so I don't quite know what to do with my arms, okay, so just, sorry. Okay, so why is it so important that we learn dining etiquette? Because we don't want to be like this. Can you hear this? Nice, right? Okay. We're not going to do those things tonight. We're not even going to practice those things. All right. Do any of you still have an appetite left after that? You're working it back into one. Okay, so why do we want to learn dining etiquette? One of the things is you notice that the young lady in the show, she probably wasn't feeling like she was very respected and considered. So we learn dining etiquette so that we can show respect and consideration for others. By learning it, we will also become more comfortable in situations where we need to use our best manners. And it's going to be an asset for you later in your life, both professionally but also personally. So when are we going to use it? When are you going to use these things as a student and then later in your life? Banquets and receptions, professional conferences, meeting the parents for the first time, even though you may not know who those are yet. Also in interviews, you may be taken out for dinner. When I applied for this position, I think I ate out like 4 times. They had me over, not in one day. They had me fly in one day, they took me out for dinner, then the next day I was picked up for breakfast, they took me to breakfast, then they took me to lunch, and then I got stuck in San Angelo, and then they had to take me for dinner again. It was like, oh my goodness, this is a lot of minding my manners. So in the interview, but also after you're hired, you may be asked to take clients out for a business lunch or a business dinner. So you want to represent yourself well, you want to represent a company well, or an organization. So in preparation, before we get started, a couple of things. And I see none of you are wearing your hats, and that is good. So you would know that in professional dining, or in formal dining, you would not be wearing a hat. So if you were, I'd be asking you to remove it. If you have your cell phones on, remember we're practicing, so I'm going to ask you to turn your cell phones off or put them on vibrate. Purses, ladies, if you have a purse, it should be either stowed on your lap, which would be kind of uncomfortable, or towards your feet. And don't worry, this is a place where you can put it on your feet or on the floor and not have to worry. There are some restaurants certainly where you would not want to do that, but chances are you would not be dining formally anyway. The reason we do not put it on the back of our chairs is because it will interfere with the servers as they're trying to make their way around. And you see some of the tables get a little close, so we don't want it to be knocking off of the table or off of the back of your chair. Gentlemen, and ladies actually as well, when you are dining formally, if you are wearing a jacket, you should keep the jacket on until your host says that you can remove it, or if they remove theirs, then you can remove yours. Here, if you want to remove your jacket, go ahead. Consider me your host. I'm going to tell you, you can remove your jacket when you want, all right? And again, that can go on the back of your chair. Okay, I want to mention before I forget that as you have questions, I want you to ask them. Okay, right now you're all sort of quiet, but as you have questions, please ask. And if I don't see your hand right away, you might just like yell because I can't quite see back there, all right? Not yell, just like yell a little. Okay, we're going to start with napkins. Napkins are incredibly important during the meal, because again, this is some of how you communicate with the servers. The first thing is, when do you place the napkin on your lap? And you place the napkin on your lap once everybody is at your table. So go ahead and place your napkin on your lap, but I'm going to suggest that when you're placing your napkin on your lap, you will just take it from there, and then you will just open it gently like this, shaking it, off to the side so it opens. And then put it on your lap. It's a triangle. Okay, like I said, you just sort of shake it like this. It isn't like, all right, here we go. Like a shower, like the locker rooms. All right, so you're going to place it on your lap with the fold to your waist. And so you get the most coverage this way. All right? Now, when you are using your napkin, you are going to use it and use it often, but you don't use the napkin from the middle. Okay, you actually will, and you don't wipe your face with it. Okay, you're just blotting from the sides. So you will pick it up and you will just sort of blot like this. Ladies in particular, we're going to want to do this right before you're drinking from your water or from your tea, because you don't want to leave that nasty lipstick smudge on there. It's not appealing. So you sort of dab your lips so that you're not leaving that ring. Now, once you have used your napkin and there might be something on it, then when you place it back onto your lap, you sort of fold it over a little bit so that that isn't being revealed to whoever else is at your table, particularly those next to you. All right? So use your napkin regularly, use it often, particularly before you are drinking. One of the things you don't want to do, and this may seem obvious, some of the things I can tell you are going to seem really obvious. You do not want to use your napkin as a towel. Okay, like I said, you don't wipe your face with it. You also don't, you're like, okay, if you've got problems with your silverware, that's when you hail your server over and say, you know, can I get into one of these? Okay, and they'll come and they will replace it for you. All right? You also do not use this to blow your nose. There's none of that, okay? If you need to blow your nose, you need to excuse yourself and, you know, find a tissue. If you were at a restaurant and you needed to excuse yourself, then what you should do is you take your napkin from your lap. You don't worry about folding it all the way it was and all neatly, but just sort of fold it enough so that anything that is soiled is not showing. And if you're coming back, you put it on the right side of your plate or your setting. Put it to the right side of your plate. Now, if it's the end of the meal and you're getting ready to leave, you would pick this up again from your lap. You would fold it again so that none of the soiled napkin is showing, and you put it to the left side. Okay? That lets the server know when you're done. Okay, now I was trying to think several semesters ago, I was giving this presentation. I said, I don't know how you're going to remember right from left. I don't know how you're going to figure this out. And one of the students from the audience, he's so clever, he said, well, I know, because if it goes on the right, you're saying, I'll be right back. I'm like, you're brilliant. Okay, so, and he said, if it goes on the left side, that means I've left. Like, this is so good. So it's learning these little tricks. It's like, then we can remember, okay? So on the right side, I'll be right back. Left side, I've left, or I'm about to leave. You do not want to. Now, some people will say, because there's a whole debate about, I know, believe it or not, there's a whole debate about where to place the napkin if you have to get it momentarily. Some will say, put it on the back of your chair. Again, we run into the issue of somebody walking past and it ending up the floor. Others will say, put it in the seat of your chair. How many of you have heard that? Put it in the seat of your chair. Okay. Now, the person when I went through training, she said, no, well, why would you put it in on the seat of your chair? I said, well, you know, it's not in anybody's way. I don't have to remember right from left. It seems like a good place. And she said, okay, but I want you to think about this. Your bum's been on that chair. Multiple bums have been on that chair. Why would you want to place something that you're going to put to your lips on that? Okay, so I thought, well, that makes sense to me. I can use the logic there. So I would encourage you right or left, not in the chair, not in the back of the chair. Questions? Okay, then I'm going to move on. Let's see. Like I said, there's a lot to know about this. So just want to make sure that I've covered everything. Yes. Okay. Then let's move forward. Your place setting does not look exactly like this, but you see the place setting here. And as you've probably heard before, you're going to be working from the outside, silverware-wise, and going in. So you'll see the salad fork, and then the dinner fork, the plate, then the knife. You'll notice that the knife is set with the serrated part goes to the plate. The serrated part always goes to the plate or toward you, even in the resting positions, which I'll show you later. And the reason for this is because, and it goes back to like medieval times, where you would have your knife there, the serrated on the inside, because they felt must have been a lot of people killing one another, okay? So like I can tell you, is because they would say that if you grabbed the knife, I'm going to use my real knife. Okay, if you grab the knife and it's like this, you can't easily get the person from across the table, all right? But if the serrades were on the outside, you could easily kill the person across the table from you. No killing tonight, I'm just saying. I'm drawing the limit at that. But the serrades will always go toward the inside. Make sense? Then you have your dinner spoon, and then the outside is going to be the soup spoon if you are going to be served soup. Above the plate, you will see your dessert fork. There should be a bread plate up there as well as a preset dessert. Now, I thought this would save time by having the preset dessert, but what has caused, and it will, you see that the bread plate is above your dessert. Okay, so that's your bread plate that you see sort of, towards the bread. All right, so use that. And I'm going to tell you a couple of times when that will come in particularly handy during the meal. Okay, so you will notice that, let me ask you this. Have any of you been to a conference or a banquet of some sort and there's no bread plate and everything is so close together that you get to the table and you're probably very, very thirsty and you cannot figure out which glass is yours? It's like, I don't know, they're all crowded around. So there's I'm going to hope that this is my next slide. Yes, this is the trick to finding out which glass is yours so that you don't drink out of somebody else's. So this is the handy trick. So as you see which glass, you'll notice that if you do this, now I do not recommend doing this in formal dining settings, but you can do it here. If you do this, you'll notice that the one looks like a B. That's your bread plate. So your bread plate will be on your left. Your drinks are on your right. So subtly, if you can't figure it out, sort of like under the table, you can do that. And you see how that looks. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about tea. You've got the tea in front of you, and you can have water if you want. You just need to request it if you would prefer to have water. You'll see that your tea has a lemon slice in it. Sometimes you will have a lemon slice, sometimes you might have a lemon wedge. With a lemon slice, there's no squeezing, okay? You're not supposed to squeeze this, to death, okay? You're just supposed to, what you should do is grab your spoon and then you just sort of guide it in gently, okay? If it was a wedge and you wanted to squeeze it into your tea or your water, as the case may be, then what you would do is you would make sure to shield. You grab the wedge and you shield everybody else from it. You just squeeze that lemon or that lime because you don't want it to spray into other people's eyes and so forth, all right? So just make sure you squeeze it, but it's okay to do that. And then you can decide whether you want to just put it into your water, just place it in the water, or whether you then want to discard it and put it on your bread plate. All right. Other things that you should remember about tea. If you're using sweetener, and that's fine to use sweetener or sugar, but then you want to add it, make sure that you don't hear a lot of clinking as you're stirring it. There shouldn't be a musical thing going on at your table. Just stir it lightly, and then once you have used your spoon, anytime you have used one of your pieces of silverware, it should never touch the linen again. So this is another good time to use your bread plate. You always want to hope you have a bread plate. Your packets, now that the paper wrapper and all of that if you've placed that in, what you would just do is fold it slightly and then stick it under the bread plate rim and get it out of the way because you don't want a big pile going on there, all right? So you just fold it nicely, stick it under your bread plate rim. Or if you have a charger, if you're familiar with the charger, see underneath her salad plate, that's probably the charger. So if you have one of those, you don't actually eat on it. It's primarily decorative, in my opinion. It might be different, so you guys can tell me. But you could place it under the charger as well. The ice in your tea is not one of the courses, okay? So don't chew on it. All right, community items. You will notice on your table that you have salt, pepper, the sweetener, the rolls, and the butter. Those are all community items. When you are passing community items, you pass to the right. Counterclockwise, you always pass to the right. Now, you need to use common sense with this. Let's say that the person, like you're sitting like this, and this is my table, and there's people all the way around this table. Now, if this person, and I'm the closest person to the salt, if they ask for the salt, am I going to pass it to the right? That's just mean. All right, no, so use some common sense. If this person wants it, then you pass it. But you don't just pass the salt. When somebody asks for the salt or the pepper, you pass them both together. Think of them as married. They came together, they're leaving together, they're going around the table together. All right? So they go together. You pass them both. And make sure you pass them like this, like they're showing in the picture, like this. You don't pass them like, and I'll use these ones because they're empty, like that. And you can see why. You don't know where this hand has been. Now it's all over your salt and pepper shaker. Okay, so that's gross. All right, other things, community items. If you are passing something with a handle, you pass it with the handle facing the person you're giving it to. So you pass it like this, not like this. so that they can grab the handle from you. Or if it's a pitcher like this, again, you would pass it so that the handle is facing the person. All right, I think I have handled all of the community items. Okay. Let's talk about rules. Did you want to, you guys could bring stuff, is that all right? Food, you want to? Okay, let's do that. Let's talk about the rules that are in front of you. Believe it or not, there's a right way and a wrong way to eat a roll. Now, this is kind of how we did it in my house at home. Because I came from a big family. You need to eat efficiently because, you know, there might not be seconds. If you don't hurry up and eat the first roll, there may not be a second roll there for you. So this is the way that we did it. We grab that roll, grab a chunk of butter and just rip it open and, you know, go and mow it on down. But that is actually not how you are supposed to eat a roll. What you actually are supposed to do with the roll is take the roll, put it on your bread plate, put a pat of butter on your bread plate as you see there, and then as you are wanting a bite of roll, you break off a bite-sized piece of roll, you butter it, and then you eat that piece, that bit that you've buttered. Then you want another bite of roll, you break off a piece of roll, you butter it, and then you eat that piece of roll. I've given up eating rolls at formal dining. It's just too much work. But help yourself, practice it. It's a good thing to practice all the same. And when you're eating rolls, you really don't want to start eating them until the actual meal starts, which brings me to talk about when can you start eating? Because if you've ever been out to dinner and you've got a bunch of people at your table and you get served, but not everybody has their food, so do you start eating or not? Right? I mean, that often happens. Well, here's the rule for that. If there are up to eight, okay, so if there's 8 or less, you need to wait. Okay, so you guys are like, how many of us are there? Darn it! I've got to wait till my whole table is served before I can eat. So if there's 8 or less, you need to wait until everybody has been served before you start eating. Now, that means that if there are 9 or more, fair game. You can just begin whenever you want. Okay. Questions yet? No? Okay. You are going to be served your soup first. Now with soup, there's a couple things that you need to remember. You're going to be using, and I'm going to use this one, even though it's not like yours. When you're eating your soup, you are going to spoon. Remember which spoon it is. It's the outermost spoon. Now that looks like a really large spoon, and that's okay because it's not going to go in your mouth. You're like, how am I going to get that in my mouth? You're not, okay? That's the thing. You don't. Okay, so this does not go all the way in your mouth. Also, what you want to do with soup is remember that you are spooning away from you. When you're eating soup, you spoon away from you. And you spoon away from you to decrease the likelihood that it's going to end up on you. All right, especially if you eat like me. So you're going to do that. Now, one of the things you might do before you start even eating your first course is make sure that you are sitting close enough to the table. Okay, so you might want to adjust yourself because you do want to lean over, but you don't want to be like leaning over. Okay, so make sure that you are sitting close enough to the table where you're going to be comfortable, where you can lean a little bit and still be all right. So then as you're eating your soup, you are going to spoon away from you. And you are going to bring the soup spoon to you. Don't bring you to your soup, okay? Bring the soup to you. Now, again, this is not how you should be eating your soup. That's a whole lot of mouth, okay? Instead, you should be sit from the side. You're spoon away from you, you will bring it up to you, not you down to it, and you will eat from the side of the spoon. Like I said, that whole big thing better not be going in your mouth. That's not good. If the soup is hot, then what you need to do is just wait. If you want, you could, stir it slightly, but you stir it slightly to sort of cool it off a little bit, but you should never be blowing on your soup. Again, it increases the likelihood of you making a mess. If you're blowing down, but particularly if it's on the spoon and you're blowing, it could go anywhere. Sometimes, well, today you have rolls, but sometimes you might be served soup that has crackers on the side. It is okay some crackers are supposed to go in your soup, and other crackers are supposed to be sort of, ooh, I thought I was going to do it again. Some of them are supposed to be eaten with, not in it, your soup, but along with your soup. Those small oyster crackers that you sometimes will see or get, those can actually go in your soup. But if they're like the club crackers, those are meant to be sort of nibbled on with your soup and not necessarily, well, definitely not dunked, okay? And there should be, exactly. I saw right here, it's like, I know, because that's the thing. You usually get the package of crackers, it's in the plastic wrap, and you just like crunch it up, and you empty it out, and you're like, there you go. Stir it all up, and you're like, shout out. But no, not with formal dining. That's not what we're going to do, okay? Also, the rolls. You should not be dipping your roll in your soup. That would not be proper etiquette in formal dining. So even though at home, you might choose to rip that roll up and sort of dip it in, and, not in formal dining. We're going to not do that. Now your soup is not served on a server plate. You'll notice you're getting the bowl but not a plate. So when you are eating, and go ahead and feel free to eat if everybody at your table is served, remember spooning away from you, not blowing on it. If you are in conversation, making conversation and so forth, and you need to pause, you need to gesture, you need to something, and you don't want to be gesturing with the spoon in your hand, obviously, then the proper place for the spoon is going to be just in your bowl. You just leave it in your bowl. Now, if you had a serving plate underneath your soup, then you would take your bite of soup, and then you could put your soup spoon on the serving plate that is beneath it. But since you don't have one, don't worry about it. Your pausing position will be just in your bowl. And once you have finished your soup, it is okay just to leave your spoon in your bowl, because that spoon will then be taken away, because you won't need it, because it's your soup spoon. You're done with the soup course, it's going to be gone. Feel free, if you wanted to go ahead and pass the rolls around and the butter around, go ahead and do that. Remember, you're passing to the right. And I realize passing to the right is a little awkward with that gaping, where there's two seats missing. Remember, if somebody wants the salt and the pepper, pass them together. Yes? Yes. The question was, in between bites, do I just leave the spoon in the bowl? And the answer is yes. And it is okay to, as you're nearing the bottom of the bowl of soup, if you need to tilt your bowl to get more out, like I said, I came from a big family. We ate everything we could. So if you need to tilt, you can tilt your bowl. Just be sure to tilt your bowl again away from you. You're still spooning away from you, and you tilt away from you as well. Yes? Do you have any advice for a left-handed eater? Left-handed eaters? Oh. All of the same rules apply with left hand, but if you can get where you have like if you were on that side, that would have been awesome for you, right? Because you would have felt more free to move your arm about. So we don't really have any. If you need to just increase your space between you and the person next to you, just scoot a little bit. That can sometimes help. My husband's left-handed, so yeah, I understand that whole. It's not a left-handed world, is it? You're welcome. Other questions? Yes, sir.
Is there a certain way we need to drink our tea?
A certain way to drink your tea? No. Once you have taken care of the lemon or the lime on the side, and if you don't care for lemon or lime, then again, this is where the bread plate comes in handy. You just take it off and place it on your bread plate. If you did not have a bread plate, it'd be nice if you could wait and put it with your soup plate. But yeah, you don't have to. The main thing is you do not drink from your tea with the lemon or the lime still on there, because it'll be bopping you in the nose, okay, or the eye, depending on how eager you are. And again, don't chew on the ice. That's a no-no. Yes?
For our bread plate, can we like switch the bread plate and dessert plate, or do we have to like reach over for our bread in this case?
In this case, I would go ahead and switch it, because you are going to want your, I'm not going to let you eat your dessert till the end. You'll probably want your bread first. So in this case, yes. And like I said, if we have so many things on the table now, that's why they set it in this manner. And some of that is really my fault, because they said, do you want to preset the dessert? And I said, yeah, let's go ahead. It'll maybe save you some time later. Well, I wasn't thinking. Now you've got all these plates, so that's my fault. I apologize for that. I thought I was helping. As usual, not so much. Yes?
Is it okay to tear off a piece of the roll, or do you need to cut?
Ah, good question. The question is, okay, so with the roll, is it okay to just tear off the piece, or do I need to cut off a piece? And you just tear it. I know, it seems so wrong, right? You have to use all these silverware, you got all these rules, and here I am tearing this roll apart with my bare fingers. But yes. Was there a question over here? No? Okay. Yes.
It's okay to make eye contact with the servers. We like that. Sometimes terrified to look at
I will mention that to them. Thank you.
they know that food's coming at them, and we won't spill it on them because they suddenly make a gesture.
I told you that our servers are helping us get through this meal successfully, and I was just reminded that I probably should tell you, no, it's okay to talk to your server. You don't have to solely communicate with your server through napkin and silverware placement. It's okay to talk to your server. I mean, don't be like Chatty Cathy. They've got things to do. But part of the communication is also making eye contact, smiling, saying thank you. These are good things. Now, my father-in-law, he's a pastor and he's never met a stranger, and he will talk a server's ear off. So we sometimes have to remind him, Dad, let them do their stuff. They've got things to do. They didn't plan to sit with us the whole time. So, but be polite, be gracious, say thank you. If you, yes?
Okay, so let's say we wanted to dip our bread in the soup. Is there a proper way to do that, or is there absolutely no dipping?
The question was, if I wanted to dip my roll into the soup, is there a proper way of doing that? No, there's not. So we don't. It's such a bummer, because I'm a roll dipper.
Is it okay to put your soup on the roll?
No, you may not put your soup on the roll either. I know. What? But I like how tenacious you are.
Tortillas, so I just dip it in.
Yes, yes. And for me, it's efficiency. It's two things. I could eat it with one. Very good questions. Excellent questions. I see one over here. Let me get a little closer. Okay.
When tearing your bread, does it have to stay on the plate, or can you like pick it up a little bit?
The roll, yes. Yes. The question is, when tearing the bread, may you pick it up off of the bread plate, or do you have to no, yes, you may absolutely pick up the roll from the bread plate in order to tear that piece off.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, sir. The question is it rude to have your hands under the table? No, it's not. But let me say something with that. That's in the American culture, okay? I know that in some cultures it is considered rude to have your hands under the table, and so you always have your hands up, above, which I know it looks awkward when I'm standing here like this, because you're like, how am I going to sit through the whole meal like this? This is ridiculous. But let me try to demonstrate this if I was sitting. So if you were sitting, then you would be like this, where just your forearms are resting on the table. Not your elbows. You don't want your elbows necessarily to be on the table. But in some cultures, it's rude And it probably goes back to times when people had to worry about, whether they're going to get shot under the table or something. But in some cultures, you keep your hands visible. But in the American culture, usually it is just fine if you have, in fact, when I was raised, my mother was raising us, she said, you have one hand on your lap, the other hand is up, okay? So again, it sort of depends on the culture, and some of these things are culturally different. Okay, let's talk while you are finishing up your soup and before, as they're bringing salads out as need be, let's talk about just some miscellaneous stuff. Let's talk about small talk. Let's talk about small talk. When you are at a conference, a banquet, a wedding reception, things like this, you might be sitting at tables where you don't know people who are sitting at your table. And, well, maybe that even tonight. So in that case, you will be making small talk, and it's good to know how to make small talk. So it's best if you prepare ahead of time. What are some things that I can talk about? What can I ask them about? Bring people into the conversation. Now, there are topics you should not talk about. And guess what they are? Politics and religion, exactly. These are hot button topics that are not appropriate for small talk. Now, that being said, if you are at the Democratic Convention or something like that, probably you're going to be talking politics, okay, or the Republican Convention, you'll probably be talking politics. Then it's normal. But if it's a wedding reception, if it's a professional conference, chances are you are not going to be talking religion and politics. All right, stay away from those. It's good to go with some other topics in mind. Whether, ask questions. People like to talk about themselves. So where are you from? Do you come to this conference often? Which side of the family do you know, the bride or the groom? Those sorts of things. You might be careful when you're asking, so what hotel are you staying at that you don't want to, probably go there. But it's good to ask some good questions, all right? If you need to excuse yourself, well, let me just say there are times when you need to excuse yourself from the table. And what side of the plate do you put your napkin if you need to excuse yourself momentarily? Awesome. Okay, so these are some reasons why you might and should excuse yourself from the table. If you need to use a restroom, I know that's obvious because the restroom's not coming to you, so you should probably go to it. But if you need to use a restroom, and this is what you should say if you need to excuse yourself. Excuse me. That's all they need to know. Okay? You don't need to say, I got to take a heck of a, no. Okay? Just excuse yourself. Excuse me. If your nose is running, let's say you're eating, for me, if I'm eating spicy food, then my nose starts running, it's time to excuse yourself. You do not want to be blowing your nose at the table. You should be like wiping it. Excuse yourself from the table. If something is in your teeth, and you need to get it out and it's uncomfortable, you don't use your toothpick at the table. You don't use your fork. Okay? Excuse yourself from the table. If your phone rings, now remember, there might be situations where you need to have your phone on. If there's an emergency, it's best to let your table mates know, I don't mean to be rude, but I've got a new babysitter and I'm not sure, or, my mother's in the hospital, whatever, okay? Let them know that you might need take a call. But otherwise, once it rings, you need to step away from the table and you say, excuse me. There's no primping at the table. Ladies, if you need to powder your nose, reapply lip gloss or lipstick, excuse yourself. Medication. If you have to take some medication and you need to take it with meal, step away from the table. You don't want them to wonder, what the heck's wrong with that person? All right? So go ahead and step away from the table, excuse yourself. Gum. If you have gum in your mouth and the food's starting to be, then you need to excuse yourself and spit out that gum because you do not want it to be in your napkin and nobody wants to see it on your plate. Okay? So step aside, get rid of it. Okay, now your salad is coming out, so let's talk a little bit about that. Your salad, you know which fork to use, correct? Use the one on the outermost side. I believe that your salad has dressing already on it. Okay, I'm trying to remember, what else is on your salad? Is there tomato? An onion and a cucumber? Is some cucumber? some cucumber. Okay, so there's, for those of you who don't have yours yet, this is what's coming. You have a salad, it's pre-dressed. There's cucumber, onion, and cherry tomatoes on there. Okay, so you can use your fork or your knife for your salad. I know you can use your fork. Use a proper fork for your salad. If you want smaller pieces, let's say it comes out and these are just, the pieces are way too big, it's okay to cut your salad. That's all right. Now remember, after you've used your knife, that knife does not go back on the linens. That knife then needs to go on either across the top of your bread plate, like this, or your salad plate, okay? That's the resting position. And remember that the serrated side faces you. Okay, after you've used it, it goes right there on your plate. And it just rests. So it's okay to cut up your salad. Also, if you want to eat the cherry tomatoes, or cherry tomatoes, you need to brace that cherry tomato. You're going to take it, you're going to brace it with your fork. Make sure you've got a nice, be careful, you don't want to go popping out, all right? Brace that cherry tomato firmly, and then you can slice it in that manner. Do not place the whole cherry tomato in your mouth, okay? Because you know as soon as you do and you take a bite, it's going to come squirting out, all right? Seeds flying everywhere. So if you want to eat, if it's a ring of onion and you want to eat it, you're going to need to cut it. If you choose not to eat the onion or something, there might be something that you do not want to eat, then you just put it to the side. You can put it on your bread plate. You can, or if it's on your entree plate, just sort of move it to the side. If you are served anything that you do not like, here or wherever you're eating formally, it is not appropriate to say, ugh, I hate this. Okay, that is not good manners, all right? You never want to draw attention to yourself in a negative manner. Remember, you're being polished, you're being respectful. You always want to reflect well on your host or your hostess. So if you don't care for something, you just sort of move it to the side. And if it gets awkward, like I said, if those onions, it's a big ring of onion. If it's in your way, it's okay to delicately pick it up with your fork and put it over to your bread plate so you get it out of your way. Yes?
So if you're serving a salad and like there's, say you want more dressing on it, can you ask or?
You can ask. Sometimes they will be able to do that for you, and sometimes they won't. And I don't know what the situation is tonight, whether they would be able to or not. But sometimes the food comes from a distance, so they wouldn't be able to help you out with that. But other times it's just easy enough. Yes?
So if you don't like dressing, say you just skip it?
Yes, yes. And you just don't want to draw attention to that you're not eating something. Somebody at your table might say, oh, don't you like the salad? And you could just say, I'm not fond of dressing. Okay? But you don't, the last thing you want to do is like, gross, I hate this. How can you eat that? Never say anything negative about what other people are eating. That's the main thing. That's considered very rude. Yes?
A few weeks ago, I was at a dinner for alumni, and I ate the salad and I didn't know what it was, but it had beets in it, and I didn't know what to do. Like after I had already started eating it, I ate it because I didn't want to be rude. But is that what you suggest?
Eat something that you don't like?
If you didn't know what it was, you didn't see it.
Okay, so are you kind of asking me, like, what if I've got something in my mouth and I don't want to swallow it? Is that what you're asking me? Okay. Yeah, there's a couple times when that might happen. You put something in your mouth that that you don't realize what it is, and you realize, I don't like this, or I'm even worse, I'm allergic to this, or there might be something in it, like a piece of gristle, or some sort of other wonderful surprise. Or it might be that you've put an unpitted olive in your mouth, and now it's like, now I've got this pit in my mouth, so how do I get rid of this? Now, there's two rules that they say with this. One of them is a little more awkward than the other, so I'm going to tell you that one first because that's what's fun. One of the rules that professionals will say is, Whatever manner it goes into your mouth, that's how you need to take it out of your mouth. Okay? So, if it was something that you don't care for, let's say that it's a piece of gristle or something like that, or an olive pit, so you've gotten all the olive off it and now you want to get rid of it, you're supposed to sort of put, it went into your mouth with a fork, so it needs to come out of your mouth with a fork. Not like this. But rather just sort of with your lips, you just scoot it to the front of your lips and your mouth and sort of push it out with your tongue and then just stick it on the side of your plate. Don't stick it in your napkin. Okay, nobody wants to see that later on the table, okay? So the other option, which is probably going to be the more preferred, is that you sort of just cup your hands around like this so that you're sort of camouflaging what you're doing, but behind it you've got your fingers like this and you're sort of like plucking it out of your off your tongue. Okay? That's probably the preferred mode. Don't do this. Okay? But rather just cup it around. Yeah. Now there was one time that I was eating at a restaurant and I took a bite of my sandwich and I put it down as there was long hair. I don't think I handled that very well. I don't remember. I don't know if I used any etiquette. It was like, oh, now what do I do with this all that's in here? So do not spit things into your napkin. All right? Once you have discarded it, you put it on the side of your plate.
I have a question.
Yes?
When we're excusing ourselves, are we announcing it to the person we're talking to or like to the whole table?
You don't want to, okay, the question is, if you're excusing yourself from the table, do you just say it to the person you're speaking with, or are you like, and the question was, announcing it to the entire table? I would just say it to those people who are maybe listening. I wouldn't break up conversation. Hey, excuse me. Excuse me. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be a huge announcement, but yes, you might just say, excuse me, and we'll leave. Very good questions. This is great. Yes?
If I have a tie and it's like getting in the way, would it be?
No, I'm afraid that that's not what you should do. The question is, can I just fling it over my shoulder? No, unfortunately. What I would suggest, invest in a tie clip. But what I have seen gentlemen do who are in that hard situation, sometimes they'll just tuck it into their shirt temporarily. Okay, so that is an option. It's not the most desired, but it's an option, and it sure beats getting it out of your food all the time. Very good question. Okay, we need to, you know what I haven't told you yet, and it's very important, is placement of silverware. So I'm hoping that's next, because I don't even remember. Okay, so when you're holding your silverware, you need to hold it delicately. Okay, and this will show you, because you don't want to be, holding it like this. Okay, it's like, bring it on, bring me the food. Okay, it's not with fists, you're not like that. So this shows you one way. If you're not certain whether you are holding your silverware delicately, you do it in this manner. Now this is showing you how you would do it if you were right-handed. Okay, if you're left-handed, your knife is going to go in your dominant hand because you're going to need that strength to cut. All right, so your knife goes in your dominant hand. Your fork will go in the other. You just place it like this, and then you flip your silverware over. And that's how you hold your silverware, like this. So that the fingers, your index finger, is giving you some support. This is wrong. It should not look like you're attacking it. Look at that fist on that fork. You're scared someone's going to run away with that fork, isn't he? Okay. Okay, this is the correct way. You'll notice that the hands are much more delicate. And they're using that index finger to steer and to poke. Okay, now there's two different types, and I'm going to ask you to select one. Don't do some hybrid version of eating, because that's just not fine dining. So there's two different methods that we're going to go over tonight. One is continental, and one is the American style. Now, we're going to cover the continental first. Now, the continental is much more efficient, all right? So you might choose to go this route, particularly if you're a slow eater. If you are a fast eater, I'm going to probably encourage you to go the American route because it takes more time. And that way you're not going to be done with all your food while all your table mates are still eating. And they're going to think, oh my goodness, do you ever get fed? Okay? So with the continental, as it says here, you are going to take your, as I mentioned, your fork is going to be in your non-dominant hand. Your knife is going to be in your dominant hand. And as it says here, you're going to cut. You're going to poke your fork into whatever you want to cut. Let's say it's the meat. And you are going to poke it into the part that you are going to take off. So then you cut behind it, and then you eat it like this. Okay? So it's tines down. You poke, you cut, you lift, and tines are down. All right? One piece at a time, but that's okay because it's going right from here to here. Tines down. Okay, I keep losing my things. All right, too many props. Now with continental, this, as you see, is the resting position. So let's say that the conversation is going and you want to demonstrate something, you're talking, you're just pausing, you're just relaxing a little bit. You'll notice how the placement goes. And the tines are down. The fork goes over the knife, tines down. This is how you, and that's how they are going to know that you're just resting so they don't walk away with all your food. All right? This is the position that you will put your silverware to let them know you are done. I'm finished. You'll notice, again, the serrades are toward you for the knife. The fork is there, tines are down. That lets them know, I'm done. You can take my plate whenever you wish. Now, the American is sometimes also called the zigzag. Okay? It's a little less efficient, but like I said, if you're a fast eater, you might want to go this route. You still are having your silverware in the same manner. You're having your fork in your non-dominant hand. You have your knife in your dominant hand. But for this one, you poke whatever you want to cut. You cut a few pieces, like 2 or 3 max. Then you place your knife down on your plate. You switch hands, that's why it's called the zigzag, and now you poke, and then you put it in your mouth. And usually this one is tines up, okay? So you keep zigzagging. Your cut, place your knife down with the serrades to you. You switch hands, you poke, and you eat. Okay? Now, for this one, the resting position, and very similarly with the other, except the tines are up. The finished position over there, tines up as well. Okay, so you decide which one you want to practice as the entree is being served. Okay, now you can also practice your table conversation. And ask questions if you do have them. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they call it continental. I don't know if it means because it's international, because I know that it doesn't cover all cultures, so I'm not really sure. Yes, I'm sorry.
So say that there's I have something on my plate that I don't really like or don't want to eat, and the person next to me does like it. Is it okay?
Oh, that's such a good question. The question is, okay, let's say that there's something on my plate that I don't really care for, but I'm with somebody who really likes it. Can I just give it to them? No. Dang it! I know, right? No, there's no sharing of food. It's like, are you gonna eat that? It's not like the lunchroom when you were in high school. You don't know. You also, and this is kind of a bummer because like I said, I came from a big family and not particularly well off. It was like, you can't even take home a doggy bag or a take home. Okay? You can't say like, can I just take these rolls with me home? You wrap this up for me? Unfortunately, no. Remember to practice, once you have your entree, practice, maybe try both. Try the continental version, try the American version, see which one feels more comfortable. Maybe you practice the awkward one, or maybe you're like, I am so hungry now, I don't care. I'm gonna go with what comes most naturally to me. But remember, try to remember to use your resting positions as well as, well, don't use your I'm done position. I'll practice that because your plate might walk away, okay? But practice your resting position. Yes.
After you use the salt and pepper, where do you put it?
Oh.
Back to the person, or do you just?
The question is, okay, after you use the salt and pepper, what do you do with it? If it's already been passed, if somebody asks for it, you pass it to them, they use it. If you're the person who asked for it, you can just set it down, okay? Or if you're not certain, like let's say they only made it halfway around the table, you might just ask your other table mates, would you care for the salt and pepper? So you know whether they want it. Because you might set it down, they'll be like, oh, I was hoping that would make it all the way around. So it's okay to just ask them. Yes? Mix it up? Yeah. Okay, that's a very good question as well, and you know what the answer is, don't you? The question is, okay, can I mix my meal together, kind of? Okay, no. The answer is no. You need to, now I know, it's kind of like this yes and no thing. You shouldn't like cut it up and like mix it into this mush so it looks like a hot dish, okay? However, that being said, you should also, when you are eating, eat some of each thing rather than eat all your meat, then you move on to your vegetable, and then you move on and finish this. You should be eating bits of each as you go along. Assuming you like it and plan to eat it at all. You might be like, squash, heck no. I'm not eating that. Again, you do not say heck no. You just say, oh, I don't care for squash. I'm going to focus on this other. And you certainly don't say, hey, I don't like squash. Anybody want this? No.